and I've gotten a lot of pushback from you and others about South Carolina in this game. To me, this has nothing to do with South Carolina as much as it has to do with North Carolina's defense. They have not gotten better. Joe, they allowed close to and around 165 to 170 yards on the ground a year ago. They gave up 271 yards in the air last year. And by the way, they were 102nd in scoring defense. They didn't get better defensively anywhere. I know that they had some guys that come in, some guys returning, but if Spencer Rattler can do some of the things that he did against those defenses, Clemson, Tennessee, others, even though Tennessee's secondary was kind of bad, he can do that against North Carolina. Like, that's not a hot take for everybody saying that what he can do, what he did in the SEC last year. It's not a hot take against a really bad defense. Now, Drake Maye is Drake Maye, and Drake Maye could go off. And North Carolina's only hope in this one, in my opinion, is if Drake Maye goes off. I don't think people give South Carolina enough credit for the dudes that they have. I really don't. They look at the portal departures, but they don't look at the additions.
Who did they add? I don't think
Joe,
I've said this before.
Nicholas Harbor might be the best freshman in all of the country.
But I don't even know what his contribution is going to be in this first year. He is the most physically gifted player in the country, but he's raw. Like, he's really, really raw. He was.
You know where
a lot of people thought he was going to be an edge rusher.
You know where he's going to be raw in? The end zone.
It might take him a year to get to as productive as he.
And it might not.
Can be.
Joe, they came out. Shane Beamer came out after their scrimmage and said that he caught 2 touchdowns. With the first team.
He's going up against a bunch of nobodies in practice.
Here's the problem with that, though, Joe. If he's going against nobodies at South Carolina, give me a defense for North Carolina's defense, who was worse.
Look, here, I understand what you're saying. My big thing with this, though, is that they are very depleted. I understand that Nicholas Harbor is a really explosive, exciting athlete, and I can't wait to see what he does. I'm all for guys like that can make plays and stretch the field at his size. He's DK Metcalf. He's the next coming of DK, basically, the way that he's built. But at the same time, the only really good returning receiver coming back is Juice Wells, who was fantastic. But Jaheim Bell's gone. Marshawn Lloyd's gone. They lost a lot in the transfer portal and a bunch of guys to the NFL draft. As bad as North Carolina's defense and secondary is, I look at South Carolina's secondary losing 2 guys to the NFL. And the guy that they have returning, Marcellus Dial, is a name that has been brought up a lot in the preseason conversations of best players. But, like, that's it. I don't have a lot to go off of. I think that the way this game is going to play out, it's going to be kind of the USC effect for UNC, where let's see how many points we can put up on the board and just outlast them. Maybe it's like a 45 to 30 type game to that extent.
Look, one thing you bet. Okay, I know you talk about Juice Wells. Trey Knox is there. Josh Simon is there at tight end. Xavier Leggett, Omega Blake. They do have some guys. They do have some playmakers that can go out. You know how I know? Let me tell you how I know. Jaheim Bell was not the only dude making plays out there last year.
No, but he was an important part of that offense that's now gone. And also Stogner's gone too.
Stogner's gone too, but Stogner at the end of the year wasn't playing.
That is true, but like Stogner that room is still depleted.
Had a catch like the last 5 weeks of the year. By the way, they won the last 5 games they played.
Okay, I don't know if that's a correlative reason. I don't think there's a direct reason for them winning is due to him.
If Spencer Rattler can do what he did against Tennessee, Clemson, and Notre Dame, I know you don't like it. You mean to tell me that him going up against a worse defense, he's not going to find dudes wide ass open? They are horrible defensively. Horrible. Gene Chizik does not deserve to be a defensive coordinator, and you know that.
No, I don't disagree with that. But their success is so contingent on everybody's conversations about him on Spencer Rattler.
They lost Josh Downs. North Carolina lost Josh Downs, and nobody talks about that.
They still have other bodies, and Bryson Nesbitt is a really.
Why do you go up against Spencer Rattler and don't say anything about Drake Maye?
My whole point is that I have evidence of performance for Drake Maye of consistency and also being a much younger player, less experienced player. Spencer Rattler had 2 good games last year. 2. That Notre Dame performance, and we debated this, is not very good. I didn't think he played that well. He had multiple turnovers in that game. He played really well against Tennessee. He played the game of his life, and then he played really well against Clemson because he carried that momentum into the next game. Other than that, not only was he uninspiring, he was terrible in a lot of games. It was a running joke that he might not even finish the season as the starter. He was that bad at times for South Carolina. I just don't get this love for him. He was a former top-rated, highly sought-after recruit. I get it. But he has not been consistent. And if anything, he's been consistently bad if we're going to point to any quality plays on the field.
You better pray to God that Tez Walker, Nate McCullum, and those guys from North Carolina go off. Because their offensive line, Joe, that gave up all of those sacks last year, they did not add anybody. They added Will Lampkin out of the portal. And Miles Murphy's back at defensive tackle. Oh, okay. He got pushed around all over the field.
But Miles Murphy's not back.
Miles Murphy is back, right?
No. He's on the Bengals. Roro, and
no, there's
Tyler
2
Davis.
Miles Murphys.
Oh, wait, I don't know why we thought we were talking about Clemson. There's another Miles Murphy?
There's a Miles Murphy on North Carolina's team. He wears number 8.
Oh, I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. You made me immediately go in a completely different trajectory. Sorry.
I did too. And then I went and watched North Carolina today and watched Rudy Poo State, Clapatulas State, all throw all over North Carolina. Joe, they were one of the worst Power 5 defenses in the country. And y'all sleeping on – give me South Carolina, man. Shane Beamer ball strikes again.
I don't know. I don't know how you can have that much confidence.
I don't. I don't.
You just want to hate on North Carolina.
I don't have faith in Spencer Rattler. You know what I have faith in?
What?
That Gene Chizik sucks. That's what I have faith in.
Let me ask you this. Game's on the line. It's a shootout. It's high scoring. Drake Maye or Spencer Rattler. You pick Drake Maye, right?
South Carolina's got to win this game 24-21. They can't get in a shootout with them.
There's no way that's going to happen. This is going to be a shootout. Both teams suck defensively.
You mean to tell me that Drake Maye has not had bad games?
He has, but I really think that this game is going to be a shootout. It is built to be a shootout because both of these teams, again, as we've said, bad defensively, but really bad secondaries. It is going to be a disgusting score. I feel like this could be reminiscent of, do you remember the North Carolina App State game last year? It was like 63-60 or something stupid. I don't think it's going to be that, but it could be close to it.
Joe, that's my point. They put up that many points, and then the week before, barely, Appalachian State could barely get past the 50-yard line against Texas A&M. Barely. The one time they did, they scored a touchdown, and then they kicked the field goal late.
Look, I'm not saying that North Carolina is going to go to the college football playoff, and I know this is kind of hypocritical on what we've talked about with USC, but they don't need good defense to win games like South Carolina. It's going to hurt them when they play the important games on their schedule later on in the season, and it's going to hurt them from competing for an ACC championship. But South Carolina is not that formidable of an opponent. They're going to put points up on the board. And if one team is going to outscore the other, if this is a basketball game, I'm picking UNC.
This isn't a basketball game, but it's not a basketball game.
Kind of is. It kind of is.
All right.